This week was a pretty interesting week in terms of my pregnancy so far. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my 30-week pregnancy update. I can't believe that I'm 30 weeks already, it's absolutely crazy. But I'm also very excited because after 30 comes 40 and then the baby's going to be here. So it's definitely kind of hitting me now, it's properly hitting me now that the baby's going to be here in the not too distant future. So I'm getting very excited. But I thought today I would just share with you all my stats, my symptoms. I had some exciting, I say exciting, so exciting things happened, but they weren't exciting in like, yay, exciting kind of way. They were exciting as in a bit different from usual. So I had my midwife appointment, who then referred me on for a growth scan as well. But I'll get into that a bit later in the video. First of all, I'm going to start off with my stats. So measuring myself around the widest part of my bump, I am 102 centimeters at the moment. I should say that I measured myself today and I'm 30 plus 3 days. So I looked at my pregnancy from last time actually, and about this time I was about 106 centimeters. So that's how I'm doing at the moment. I'm definitely feeling quite big. Moving is a lot more difficult than usual. I definitely am struggling to move more, and I forget that I've got a big bump, so when I do try and move in a way that's kind of awkward, my bump is like, nope, you can't do that right now, Abigail. So I definitely am struggling to move even more, which was just to be expected. In terms of my symptoms, I would just say pretty much the same as usual. A bit of increased tiredness. I am noticing still smell sensitivity, so I'm still struggling a little bit with a tiny bit of nausea, but nothing compared to what it was at the start of this pregnancy, because that was really difficult. So I definitely think, personally, for me, the third trimester is one of the easiest trimesters in a way, and one of the best. I like the third trimester because I've not got the horrible nausea of the first trimester, and I also feel like the first trimester is quite stressful because of just the whole uncertainty, whereas the third trimester you're getting towards the end and you're getting excited about the baby coming. So personally I think the third trimester is my favourite out of the three, but I know other people have difficult symptoms in the third trimester, so they couldn't say the same. I'm just very lucky to have very straightforward pregnancies so far. Which brings me on to my midwife appointment. So my midwife appointment this week was at, I think it was 29 plus 6 days, something like that. Yeah, 29 plus 6 days I was when I went for my midwife appointment. And if you don't know, if you're first time mum, I'm in Scotland, so we get a midwife appointment every couple of weeks or so towards the end. So when you get to like 28 weeks plus, you get a midwife appointment every few weeks, I believe, and so I have been so far anyway. So 29 plus 6 I went for my midwife appointment, and she did most of the usual things. She did blood pressure, which was fine, checked the baby's heartbeat, which was great, asked about just general tiredness, swelling, all these kind of things, just to see if there's any kind of risk factors there, but I was doing completely fine. And then this is the first week that she measured my bump. So you know how I measure my bump around the way? Well, the midwives don't measure it that way, they measure it from like your belly button down, and then they kind of compare it to their chart of how you're expected to be growing and how big your bump is expected to be. So I'm sure you've seen probably the charts, so it's like a graph and there's like a curve on it, and you want to be within a certain expected range or they're a bit concerned, and that's to estimate the size of your baby's weight at birth. So she measured it and then she went and checked it against her little chart, and she said that was measuring a bit small. So I was like, that's interesting, because I'd never had that in my last pregnancy. My last pregnancy everything was fine. I didn't have any kind of even slight concerns at any point in my last pregnancy, which I'm very grateful for. But this time she said I'm measuring a bit small. So from that she said that she was going to refer me for a extra growth scan, which is just to basically scan you so you can actually see, so they can actually measure the bits of the baby. So she referred me for that, and I was slightly concerned, but not too much, because I had seen on my pregnancy Facebook groups that a lot of mums get that. A lot of mums get these growth scans, and quite often there's no cause for concern. And even if it is measuring small on the scan, usually it's like monitoring stuff. So I wasn't super concerned, but so she said I'll get a phone call, and I actually got a phone call within the hour, no, like an hour or so later. I got a call to book my scan for the next day. So I got booked in really fast for the scan, which was really great. I'm really happy with how that went. And so the next day I went for my scan. I went alone this time, but you can still have your partner with you at the moment in where I stay, I believe. Excuse me. So I went for the growth scan, and I had actually the same trainee that I had last time, which was quite nice. She's quite a nice lady. I quite liked her. And she started off doing the measurements, and then the other lady checked the measurements, because obviously the trainee was the trainee. And so what they checked was, I'm just referring to my notes, they checked that I could see the size of the head, the size of the tummy, and the size of the femur, so like the part of the leg. And it did take quite a while because I did have the trainee do it, but the actual lady, when she did it, was much faster. Basically, they just measured certain parts of the body just to see overall how it looked. And the conclusion was that the baby was absolutely perfect. So I was so relieved and so happy to hear that. And it was really interesting to see the baby on the scan, because I'd never seen Samuel, my first child, I'd never seen on the scan at this number of weeks. I'd only had the 12-week scan and 20-week scan and nothing else. Whereas so having like a 30-week scan was really interesting to see. And so I was so happy to hear that the baby was perfect. She said she estimated the baby's weight at being 3 pounds and 4 ounces. So yeah, a normal size. And if you kind of estimate that out to the time of birth, that means that the baby should be around about the same weight as Samuel when he was born. She says it's on track for the same kind of weight, and Samuel was 7 pounds 7 when he was born. So it's looking like it's tracking the same weight pattern. She also saw the position of the baby, and the baby is at breech at the moment. So that means feet down, head up. So head's at the top and feet are at the bottom, which makes sense in terms of movement. I'm feeling a lot of movement at the bottom, like little kicks and nudges here and there. And at the top, like when I sit like hunched over slightly, which you're not meant to do probably, but when you sit hunched over like this naturally, I'm like putting pressure on the top, and it's like very uncomfortable sometimes. So it makes sense that the head's at the top. But it's so weird to think. Even the second pregnancy, I'm still like, it's so weird to think that there's an entire living being inside me. It's so strange, but it's so nice at the same time. So I'm still feeling a lot of movement as well. I thought I would just show you my scan pictures, because I did get scan pictures. They obviously can't scan the whole body or anything really, I don't think, because of the size of the baby now. I mean, my mum always says the babies look like aliens on the scans, but I think the first 2 scans I had, they looked quite like babies. This one does look a little bit more like an alien, so I'll show you this picture first. Look at this little picture. I mean, that is a teeny bit creepy, isn't it? I suppose this is the head and stuff. It's much harder to see. And then these are the other pictures that I got. They're really lovely about giving you pictures at my hospital that I go to. And then there was like a little, I think there's a little foot maybe? A little foot. So these are the little pictures that I got. Yeah. This is little baby boy. Very excited. But it is strange seeing this kind of scan photo, because I've never seen this kind of scan photo last time. She also said, actually, which is really interesting, that I wouldn't have known if I hadn't gone for this. She said that she thought you could see little bits of like hair at the back of the head, which is so cute. And Samuel was born pretty much bald. He had like a tiny bit of hair, but I don't think that much that you would have seen it on a scan anyway. So this baby's maybe gonna have some more hair. Some little bits of like spiky hair at the back. How adorable is that? That is so cute. I had one more thing to say. Oh yes, she checked the placenta. So I said in one of my previous videos that at my 20-week scan, she wasn't sure about the position of the placenta. So if the placenta is in a certain position, then it's not very good for birth. For example, if it's covering the exit, that's not a good place for the placenta to be. So she basically referred me to a scan, which I was meant to have the 22nd of this month. I was meant to have like later in the month, the scan to check for the placenta. But I said to her at this scan, I said, oh, I've been referred for a scan for the placenta as well. And she said, oh, we'll just check it in this video and in this scan as well. So I was like, great. So she went back in. I told her like at the end, so we had to like go back in and put more jelly on my belly and stuff. and she checked the position of the placenta and said it was really great, miles away from the covering the exit, no issues at all there. So that's so good. So those are like two things that had like two minor things that were like flagged up this time that I'd never had the first pregnancy, but both of them were turned out to be completely fine. So I do want to encourage you, if you have any little things flagged up and need to be referred for extra scans or growth scans, that it doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong. It's just they're trying to make sure everything is definitely fine. And it's really nice actually to have that reassurance. I really appreciated the reassurance I had at this scan. I thought it was really helpful. Just thought I'd quickly check on the app how the baby is meant to be doing or should be doing at this stage. And the baby is the size of a winter squash or a little puppy. That's cute. But both of those things could be variable sizes, but it's a good size. And it also says the weight should be about 2.5 to 3.8 pounds at this stage. So 3.4 pounds sounds perfect to me. So yeah, that's like really great to see that. I'm getting very excited now, but I'll talk about all that in another video. I hope this video was interesting to you. Let me know how many weeks pregnant you are if you're also pregnant and watching this, and let me know if you've had any additional scans and everything and how that was for you, because I always find it really interesting to hear other people's experiences too. And I'll see you very soon in my next one. Bye guys.